Hey people, this is my weekly rundown of things in entertainment news that interested me over the past week. And I've got two major stories that I really want to talk a lot about, as well as something I want to do at the end. So I'm going to go through a few stories pretty quickly. I want to start off this video by doing an update on a story I talked about a couple of weeks ago. And it has been confirmed that the video game developer Rocksteady is not working on a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle video game, which is a little bit disappointing to me because I think I mentioned they are the developer that did Batman Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, and I thought they would be perfect to do a Ninja Turtle game. And Ninja Turtles usually gets made by these people who do kind of little kid games, and they're just kind of okay video games. So to have a major developer working on kind of a serious Ninja Turtle game was exciting to me. But you know, Rocksteady is probably working on something else that's very cool, and maybe eventually somebody will make a very good Ninja Turtle game. But moving on, it has been confirmed that the Wolverine, which is the sequel / semi-reboot to X-Men Origins Wolverine, will be released next year, July 26, 2013. So that's kind of exciting. I'm hoping that it'll be a good movie. I mean, I'm a little bit disappointed that they weren't able to do the origin of Wolverine very well in the first film, and I don't think that this can actually make up for that, but still, if they can make a good Wolverine movie, it will be entertaining. And I like Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, so another chance to watch him as that character will be cool. As anticipated, there was an Avengers TV spot during the Super Bowl, and there's an extended version of it online, which is 1 minute, and it's just really awesome. Like, I've watched it so many times in the past week. Like, it's ridiculous how many times I've watched this trailer because it's really that cool. It's not really kind of a story trailer. It's kind of a quick, like, action-packed, come see this movie because it looks really cool trailer, and I have no problem with that because it's gotten me so hyped. Like, Avengers is, I've been kind of back and forth in my anticipation. It's like, well, do I want to say Avengers is my most anticipated, or maybe Dark Knight Rises? But really, right now, I'm very much decided that Avengers is my most anticipated film of the year because it just looks so cool. And I really figured out over the past week why I'm more excited for Avengers than Dark Knight Rises. And not to diss Dark Knight Rises, I think it's going to be a great film, and probably story-wise, it's going to be a better film than the Avengers. But the thing about Avengers to me is that Avengers has been building for 4 years, basically the same amount as the Dark Knight Rises, but it looks like it's going to be completely a step up from everything that's come in the Marvel Cinematic Universe before it. Like, it looks, action-wise, it looks miles above what we've seen in Iron Man and Thor and the Incredible Hulk and Captain America. It just looks, to take that and just multiply it by like 100, because the scale of it and everything that's going on, it just looks so awesome. But the Dark Knight Rises, on the other hand, it looks good, but I don't think it looks like a step up from the Dark Knight. It looks like you're up in the action of the Dark Knight Rises, but the action's never really been what I've watched Christopher Nolan Batman movies for. Like, I love the story of the first two, and the story will probably be good, but is it really going to be better than The Dark Knight? I mean, I know it's harsh to compare it, but it's like, you got Heath Ledger's Joker in The Dark Knight, and you don't have that in The Dark Knight Rises. You've got Tom Hardy's Bane, which will probably be impressive and probably be cool, but just that Batman-Joker conflict. I talked about this in like my third Batman video, or maybe it was my second, whatever, but that Batman-Joker conflict is just so, it's like the epitome of Batman, and it's something that you just can't capture again without the Joker, in my opinion. Whereas the Avengers, it's, for another thing, this is the first Avengers movie. It's kind of like the first thing of its type. I mean, we've had superhero team movies before, we've had X-Men, Fantastic Four, but something like this, where you've got all these characters who just don't seem to fit together if you just look at their movies. I mean, you've got Thor, you've got Iron Man, you've got the Incredible Hulk, and these are just completely different characters, just ridiculously different, and it's something that you would think is such a great challenge, and the way they put it together and the way it looks right now, it just feels completely natural and completely cool. And I think that is a major accomplishment, to have these characters together and having it feel cool and not be able to look at this trailer and be like, oh, that's stupid, that's ridiculous. Why do you have this Norse god standing next to this guy in this robot suit? I mean, I feel like people aren't really realizing how much of an accomplishment it is to make this all work together. So, yeah, I'm really hyped for Avengers right now. I mean, that TV spot looked amazing, and there's probably going to be at least one more trailer before the movie that gives a little bit more detail about the story. And Avengers, to me, it just looks like it's got the action. Every time we see a trailer, we get a little bit more of the dialogue. I mean, we had that awesome Loki Tony Stark exchange at the end of this trailer. So the script seems to be pretty solid, and I just feel like it's going to be one of those great action films I hate to make this kind of comparison, but it looks like a Star Wars to me. It looks like that kind of great, like, oh my gosh, this is kind of a landmark film thing, in the sense that this is so big, yet it's so well written, so entertaining, that there's going to be nothing like it that matches up to it until they make like another Avengers movie, or DC gets their act together and makes a Justice League movie. And they did release a new banner for the Avengers. I wanted to quickly show that to you guys because it looks pretty cool. I think the Captain America costume looks really great here, but not too much to comment on there. I mean, with this trailer, we've seen all of them in action, so the banner doesn't really do that much for it. But yeah, I don't want it to sound like I'm hating on The Dark Knight Rises, because I'm not. I'm hyped for that movie too, but it's more of a questioning, will it deliver, will it be the ending I want? Whereas Avengers is like, if all goes well, and if it looks as good as if it is as good as it looks, this is going to be an amazing movie, and I'm so hyped for it. So that's enough about the Avengers. Moving on. Also this week there was a trailer release for The Amazing Spider-Man, and I think fans have been anticipating this one for a while. And my opinion on this trailer, I really wish that it came out before the Avengers trailer, because I saw the Avengers trailer and I was so hyped for that, and then I saw the Amazing Spider-Man trailer and I was like, that looks pretty cool. And I feel like if it came out last week, I would have been like, oh my gosh, Amazing Spider-Man looks so great. But I was kind of caught up in that Avengers hype when I watched it. But watching it, like, I've watched it like once or twice since the first time I watched it, and I think that the main thing accomplished was something that it really needed to accomplish. Is the first trailer came out and all sorts of people were like, why are they remaking Spider-Man? Because what they showed in that first trailer, it's like, yeah, they did show that they were going to focus more on his parents, but they showed that it's the origin story, and they didn't really show much about what else it is. So with this, we've got some of the visuals of the movie, which look pretty cool. I mean, it looks similar to the Raimi films, but technology improves, and there's kind of a color scheme to it. Like, they showed a lot of Night Swing, where the city has this kind of blue tint to it, and Spider-Man just kind of contrasts against the red and the blue of his own suit. And the tone of it, you could tell that it's different there. And they showed the scene with him fighting the police, but it was brief, like snippets of it, so you couldn't really get an idea of the whole way he fights, which is great, because they teased it and they made it so it's like, okay, I can tell this is going to be a cool fight scene, but they didn't give it away, which I like. But yeah, I feel like they've been able to accomplish that. This is not the same Spider-Man movie by any means. They've got the Lizard, who I'm still kind of torn about, because the Lizard, to me, I think that the Lizard will be a physical threat, and Peter will have his own emotions wrapped up in trying to tackle the Lizard based on the Dr. Connor's connection to his father that they've revealed in this trailer. But the Lizard isn't really kind of a planning villain. It's a creature. So it's kind of just this force to fight against, and we won't really get one of those like hero-villain conflicts, because the Lizard isn't a villain. It's Dr. Connors is kind of a victim of this thing that just is out of his control. But I mean, I am excited for the movie, and I definitely think that it's going to be a film that takes people by surprise in how much they like it, and how different it really will be from the first Sam Raimi film. I still am sticking to my opinion that it wasn't a good idea to do the origin again, because I feel like the first quarter of the film is going to be somewhat similar to the first Sam Raimi film, because you've got Peter, you've got Flash the bully, you've got him being bitten by the spider, and you have to do the Uncle Ben story with Uncle Ben getting killed. And I think they might have showed in the first trailer that him in a wrestling ring, so they're going to be quite possibly doing that part as well. So I feel like it's just kind of wasting time, because at this point, the majority of audiences know that story. So even if you've got a film that's in terms of tone, very different from that film, the first, like, let's say 20 minutes of the film, or maybe even more, are going to be stuff, it's going to be familiar territory for us. And I think that that's going to get in the way for some people. It's like, I already know at least one person who's like, oh, it's too soon, I'm totally against that movie because they're just doing the same thing they did before. And it's like, well, they're not. I know they're not, but I feel like they are going to have to fight against that image, and they've done well with this trailer to fight against the image that they're doing Spider-Man 1 again. But I just think that while the film will be strong and take people by surprise, it's going to need to do a little bit more to capture that attention of mass audiences, to say, hey, this is going to be a really cool movie, even though you've got the Avengers and the Dark Knight Rises coming out this year. It's probably taking up a lot of people's hype. It's like, well, you've got those two massive movies coming out this year, and you've got another Spider-Man. And after Spider-Man 3, which most people hated, the general public's feeling on Spider-Man is probably lower hype than it was a few years ago. So, yeah, I've still got high hopes for the movie. I think they just need another trailer just to push it in and show people this is going to be a movie that's very worth watching. That's all the news I have for this video. But before I end it, I wanted to acknowledge that this is my 100th video, and it feels kind of strange for me because I've been doing this for almost 2 years now. It hasn't felt like 100 videos. It's something I do occasionally, but it just kind of added up, and all of a sudden I look at the video count and it's like, oh, I'm on 100 videos. And it's interesting because it's been kind of an interesting journey for me along the way, and it really just started with me wanting to get my ideas out there, because I spend a lot of time just thinking about these things that most people don't really give that much thought to or think are very important. So I wrote this editorial on Batman, giving my ideas about how the third Christopher Nolan Batman movie should go, and that was way back in 2009, I think I finished that one. And I posted it on comicmovie.com, and I thought, well, it's getting good response here, but eventually it kind of sank into obscurity because people post editorials all the time, and there are news stories there, and it's a good thing. It's a good way to get your ideas out initially, but I wanted a way to keep people finding my ideas and listening to them and hearing what I have to say. So I was like, maybe I'll do this in video form and post it on YouTube so people can listen to it, and also link to the article so people can read that as well, because I feel like I express myself better in written form. It's just easier that way. But anyway, while I had some decent feedback from the videos, I realized just because I have something decent to say and good ideas, it's not necessarily going to have people coming and flocking to listen to it, because I'm really just a random guy. It's not like I have some Hollywood credibility or I'm famous or anything. So to have people listen to me, I realized that I need to build up an audience somehow. So it's like, well, I don't want to just do videos to do videos. I wanted everything I did to have some kind of meaning and be well thought out and planned. But I came to the point where I did a news video on the cancellation of Wolverine and the X-Men and Spectacular Spider-Man, and that got a lot of views on it. So I figured, well, this kind of news thing could be useful in getting people to see see my channel, see what I have to say, and I'm not just going to say that this thing happened. I'm going to try to make a positive contribution and give some sort of thought and input onto what I think about it. So I started doing more of those, and I've eventually gone to like doing movie reviews, and I still do the kind of big idea thing like what I did with Superman and Captain America. But I came to a point where I looked at and I realized that there's not always going to be some big news like the casting of Superman to report on, and it takes a while for me to come up with ideas and really put them together to do a big series like my take on Superman. So there would be like 2-month periods where there's nothing going on my channel. I'm like, well, why would a subscriber really want to subscribe to a channel where they don't really know when the next video is going to come, what it's going to be about, and if there's really anything going to be anything good for them to watch. So I've come to the point where I am now where it's like, okay, well, there's not a lot of big stuff going on, but I can do regular reports on a compilation of smaller things to make a substantial video. So I'm here at this point doing this every week, and I feel like it's good. I feel like I've been able to do some decent videos in this format, and I'm hoping that people are enjoying it. So if you are a subscriber and you would like to give input, please do, because I'm always trying to improve, trying to get better, trying to provide better content, so I can build up that audience so people will actually hear what I have to say when I do say something that I feel is important and I put a lot of thought into it. I was trying to think of something interesting and cool to do for the 100th video, but I wasn't really able to think of anything, so I decided to just include a subtle Easter egg to my first video in this kind of style. Not my first video overall, because that's like completely unrelated to what I do now, but my 4th video, which is where I kind of started doing what I did that led me to this point. So if you were able to catch it, it's subtle, but it's not really that cool, but if you do watch that video, then it should be pretty easy to figure out what it is. So if you are able to figure that out, comment and I'll tell you if you're right. But that's really all I've got for now. If you like what you saw, please subscribe and tune in next time.